Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of St. Anne Home.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections. I'm your host, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce, Chad Amond. I am delighted to have on the show today Mary Dreliszak. She is the Director of Development and Marketing for St. Anne Home. Mary, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
So let's kick it off by, tell the listeners, what is your role at St. Anne Home?
Oh, sure. Well, as Director of Development and Marketing, I have two roles. One is raising funds, and the other is raising awareness. So the raising funds part is the special events, like our Harvest of Blessings auction that we have every fall, and the upcoming Progressive Dinner that we're doing on May 18th. Where you go from home to home and have courses of your meal. So it's a fundraiser to benefit St. Anne Home. It's a nonprofit. It's one of the things that I do. Also, on the marketing side, we like to showcase our facility, and we're happy to be able to do that now through radio, like WHJB, newspaper, television, digital, and social media. You're probably going to be seeing more of St. Anne Home than you have perhaps in the past. We're just upping our marketing a bit, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that why. But I have to say the best part of my role is just the day-to-day engagement that I have with residents. So it's raising funds, raising awareness, and just being able to be with our residents every day. So
raising funds and raising awareness.
Yes.
That's a great biography, right?
Yes.
But some of the listeners, maybe they're listening, that they don't know what St. Anne Home does and what is the history of St. Anne Home. I was on the website and I understood that Bishop Conner started it in 1964.
Right.
So what is the role of St. Anne Home?
Thank you for that. Well, St. Anne Home is a continuing care retirement community that, as you mentioned, was established in 1964 as a ministry of the Felician Sisters of North America. And so we have 250 employees at St. Anne Home around the clock, and we offer neighborhood homes, personal care apartments, skilled care, and rehabilitation. And it's all on a beautiful campus that feels like home.
So describe some of those facilities.
Sure.
So the personal care homes and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So on the personal care side, we have it's called Villa Angela at St. Anne Home. So it's all under the same roof, but personal care there is they're apartments. It's apartment-style living, and we offer that services to them, such as housekeeping and maintenance and meals and medication management. So it's for people who are able to function on their own, but just need a little extra care during the day, just to know somebody's there and is watching out and helping them along the way. So it's a wonderful thing. They engage in activities, and it's a wonderful environment, Villa Angela at St. Anne Home.
Well, some of the listeners may not know. They hear it all the time.
Yes.
That's the raising awareness part
exactly,
of your role.
Exactly.
But some of the listeners may hear St. Anne Home, but they don't necessarily know where it's located.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We're located between Westmoreland Mall and downtown Greensburg, nestled on a hilltop that overlooks the city and its surrounding greenery. I feel like we've been it's certainly a hidden gem all these years, where we've been since 1964, but beautiful location, quiet location, but close to everything at the same time.
Make sure that we are addressing the services that you provide.
Absolutely.
I went on the website, and you offer nursing care, rehabilitation, residential living with services, and personal care, and pastoral care.
Sure.
I think that we need to make sure that the listeners understand those items that you provide.
I'll be glad to go into a little bit of detail on those. So we already talked about Villa Angela. That's the personal care side. We have our nursing care side, which is skilled care, and that can be long-term or short-term care. And so that's, of course, round the clock where our residents just need that maybe they may be in a place in their lives where being at home just isn't safe anymore for them, and their families and them and the residents themselves are making those decisions about what's the next best thing for them. And we're so happy when the choice is St. Anne Home as their choice for skilled care. And again, it can be short-term or long-term. Even on the short-term side, that's could be the rehabilitation piece that we offer, or the respite where they might need just a place to be for a little while. But rehabilitation, we offer occupational therapy, speech, physical therapy, and restorative nursing care to promote independence.
Mary, this is above my pay grade, but what is identified as short-term care and long-term care?
Sure. Short-term care might be, we'll use rehabilitation for an example. Somebody has had a hip surgery and they need rehabilitation services. So they'll come to St. Anne Home, and maybe they're there for 10 days or 12 days, whatever the doctor may have ordered, and receiving their therapy, and then they return home. So it's intended as to be a period of time as opposed to long-term, term care that may be needed. Yes. Long-term care, you can look at that as a definition where perhaps the person isn't able to return back home, or, you don't know until as you go along, and it becomes long-term care. But there's a difference. Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about the nursing care, the rehabilitation, the residential living and services.
I'll tell you about that.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you about that. So residential living with services is a big, long title. And really what that is, when I mentioned just briefly that we had neighborhood homes. So when you come up into St. Anne Home, you'll pass through these homes, these 2-bedroom homes, these renovated homes that are just the perfect size for somebody who wants to downsize and not have to worry about housekeeping and maintenance, and be able to be part of a larger community as well. Having the utilities paid as part of that as well. And so they're close, they're on the campus, they're in a quiet neighborhood, and they have access to everything that we do at St. Anne Home, from our could be dining services to, we have something called a little shop. They can come there and have, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or we have, our activities are abundant at St. Anne as well. So residential living with services describes our neighborhood homes that we have.
Okay.
Yes. And I just wanted to say something, if I could, Chad. So what that is, those are steps in care. We call that a continuum of care. So perhaps you're just ready to downsize, ready to just not have to worry so much about a large home, and all the maintenance that comes with it. So perhaps it's the neighborhood home that you choose, and then you find that you need a little bit extra help. You just want somebody there and don't have to worry about making your meals, but somebody else has it. We have the beautiful dining room at Villa Angela. It's restaurant.
I think I want to move in.
Yeah,
I think I want to move in.
Trust me. I've been when I just walk down the hall and I go over to Villa Angela, I've said that a million times. When can I sign up? Because I really want to live here. So it's a continuum. So we can take you from there to having a little bit more care to long-term care when the day comes that you might need that. And we want to be able to provide for the overall person, and including then pastoral care that we have at St. Anne Home, which is one of the hallmarks of what we do. And that's probably one of the most unique features of St. Anne. It's, in addition to the Felician sisters who manage the home and live on campus, the pastoral care coordinator is on site. We offer daily mass, daily rosary, pastoral visits to our residents. And I have to say that is a key thing, and I think it's one of the things that when you walk into St. Anne Home, Christ is there. And we are, our residents are very, it means a lot to them to have that ability to have services and prayer.
We were talking about the services that St. Anne Home provides. We're talking with Mary Dreliszak. She is the Director of Development and Marketing for St. Anne Home in Greensburg, between the mall and downtown Greensburg. Mary, I understand that St. Anne Home has just completed a major modernization, and expansion project. What does it look like, and what does it provide for your residents?
Absolutely. Well, the modernization and expansion project is certainly visible when you walk into St. Anne Home. If you hadn't been there in years and you came in now, you'd see a beautiful, beautiful household feel of a facility. We've added 32 resident rooms, making our rooms now up to 155. And we've modernized the existing resident rooms in the nursing facility, increased the dining and cooking space, upgraded and enlarged bathing areas, replaced the windows. Those things that you would do to modernize a facility, but expand it. And it's beautiful. It's quite contemporary in its design, but very warm and inviting. So in the interior design is quite beautiful. They are warm, neutral earth tones that really make you feel like you're home. Wooden floors, beautiful, granite. It's stone fireplaces. It's really hard to describe. One of the things that I think that I certainly enjoy about St. Anne Home and appreciate for all the residents that live there is that every single room has a window that goes wall to wall. So every single room is a view. And it could be a view of one of our 5 outdoor patios with our pergola and our water fountain, or it could be overlooking the city of Greensburg, the hilltops. Residents will say, I love watching the weather come through, or they may have a bird feeder outside of their window, or I don't think you can go in any resident room and not look out their window and say, wow, that's really nice.
Right.
And walk into any room and say, wow, this is nice and beautiful and comfortable.
It is a beautiful place,
yes.
And the Chamber was honored to be a part of the ribbon cutting whenever you opened the modernization facility. And I frankly, I hadn't been there. I mean, I knew about it, but I think the people need to, even if they just pass it and maybe tour it. I'm assuming that you offer tours, and the Chamber is going to host a Wake Up Westmoreland a breakfast on March 19th, and I think that we're going to get a ton of Chamber members that will go to St. Anne Home and say, wow, I didn't necessarily walk through this, but it's beautiful.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. Since 1964, when we've been in existence, it seems that all these years, it's been word of mouth and also, if you will say, rooms, if people will say, I've called there and there may be, the rooms are filled. And that can happen on any given day, that there isn't space. But that can change any given day, and because now we have those 32 new resident rooms open, that's a whole new situation, and we're very happy to be able to offer that. We had to expand because we were outgrowing the space. The demand was such that we had to do something.
Well, and that's a good problem to have.
Yes, it's a
right?
wonderful problem.
Well, with the aging population in Westmoreland County and all of southwestern Pennsylvania, we have almost a third of our population that is of retirement age.
Yes.
And the government says retirement age is 65, right?
Right.
But I think with 4 kids, I think I'm going to retire at 95.
There you go.
But that's the retirement age, and almost a third of our population is of retirement age, and so we need to make sure that facilities like St. Anne Home are thriving.
Yes. Interestingly, too, it is people in the age group, perhaps maybe they're in their 50s or 60s, and it's their parent that they're looking at that's in their 80s or 90s, and they're making that choice and making that emotional decision about the best place to have their parent be and cared for. And we know we have residents that are 95. We have one that's 100. We had one that was 101. We have a lot that teeter you're on the 100 side, and I like to think that that's partly because St. Anne Home is taking such good care of them.
Right. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We're talking with Mary Dreliszak. She is the Director of Development and Marketing for St. Anne Home. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of St. Anne Home.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. We were talking with Mary Dreliszak. She is the Director of Development and Marketing for St. Anne Home in Greensburg. Mary, before we went to the break, we were talking about the expansion. With 32 additional rooms, does that mean more employment opportunities for St. Anne Home? And, obviously, living on the front row of the chamber, we have about a 3.7 unemployment rate. That all of the employers in the county and all of southwestern Pennsylvania are struggling to get employees on board. And so is that a struggle for St. Anne Home? And do you need more employees with the expansion?
We absolutely need more employees with the expansion. And while we have a number of employment opportunities available now, probably at the top of the list would be certified nursing assistants and nurses are needed for our new addition, and we are actively hiring those. And so those are two areas that we're happy to be hiring in. We're also hiring for housekeeping and maintenance, and there's a position called resident associate that's similar to a certified nursing assistant but without the certification. And so in these care models, we consider everyone who works at St. Anne Home a caregiver, no matter what their role is. But those are some of the available positions that we have right now. So we encourage nurses and CNAs to apply.
Yeah, and probably that's one of the reasons why yes. all over the healthcare industry. Yes. Seton Hill is starting a nursing program.
Yes.
St. Vincent is starting a nursing program. Obviously, University of Pitt at Greensburg has a nursing program. Yes. And the community college has a great associate's nursing program.
Exactly.
And so that's some things that we need to make sure that we are pushing the students into to get a very good career.
Absolutely. It's a very rewarding career, and we are doing some partnerships with those organizations and also some CTCs that offer LPN programs to be a clinical site at St. Anne Home. So very important. We really want to encourage young people to think about the healthcare field. It's so rewarding. There are so many ways you can go. And one of the things that St. Anne Home does, one of the benefits is we offer tuition reimbursement. So we've actually had employees who have come in with no experience and gone through we have a certified nursing training program. So they've come in to become a CNA, to get their certification. They've taken an 8-week course. They've passed the course, and from the day one, when they start the class with us, they are an employee of St. Anne Home and getting paid. When they finish and pass their certification test, then their pay is upgraded, and they're a CNA. We have had employees who have gone from that, coming in, being trained, becoming a CNA, then going to school to be an LPN, then going to school to be an RN with St. Anne Home paying 90% tuition reimbursement, and then becoming nurse supervisors. So we have nurse supervisors right now that started at St. Anne Home with no experience and work their way up with support from St. Anne Home. We have one commercial that's out there right now that Amanda talks about when she was going with her education, how the employees supported her and how St. Anne Home supported her to make that possible.
And that probably enables retention.
Yes.
And
yes.
you know, they those employees probably have their heart with St. Anne Home. But do you offer a sign-on bonus?
We do. We are offering sign-on bonuses. Thank you for asking.
Really?
We are offering sign-on bonuses for nurses, $3,000 sign-on bonus, and we also offer sign-on bonus for second shift certified nursing assistants, a $2,000 sign-on bonus for second shift. So we're happy to be able to do that. We want to be able to offer competitive wages, and certainly I know that St. Anne Home offers excellent benefits across the board. So yes.
There's a number of things that makes St. Anne Home special. We talked about several of them, but
right.
maybe tell the listeners how you engage with the families. Sure. I mean, we were talking during the break that you have Skype.
Yes,
and
yes.
that's warms your heart.
Absolutely. We want our residents to always stay connected, and they do receive. We see a lot of visitors coming through, and I love that my office is near the lobby of St. Anne Home because I get to meet so many of the families as they come through. But for families that live away in another state, we have Skype available on their television, on their flat screen televisions in their room, where they can interact and be part of what's happening in another state and connect with their family and grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Is there as well. So that's certainly one of the things. Another thing that we do is every December we have what's called a holiday dinner. And that's when St. Anne Home becomes a giant restaurant, a giant feast, if you will. And we offer two or three sittings where we feed the families in our various dining rooms that we have. And it's the staff serving them, from our CEO to the staff members who have prepared these wonderful meal, and a resident can invite their family in, and perhaps they can take up an entire table. And so you see lots of family members, and family pictures are taken at that time as well. Very special event at St. Anne Home, held every December, just before Christmas.
So, I mean, I want to go to that event.
Yeah.
But you have other events,
sure.
and
Sure.
obviously we talked about the Wake of Westmoreland for the
Sure.
March 19th.
Sure.
I mean, if people want to tour St. Anne Home,
yes.
how do they facilitate that?
Give us a call, certainly at 724-837-6070, and we'll be glad to connect you with someone who'll be able to talk to you about anything and take you around and show you things as well. I would like to be able to say, just kind of on that subject of kind of what makes St. Anne Home so special. You know, one of the things that guides us, one of the things that guides every employee and everything that we do are the Felician core values of St. Anne. And there are several of them. One is respect for human dignity. One is compassion, transformation, solidarity with the poor, and justice and peace. Those are the driving forces with everything that we do and how we interact. I'm going to give you an example. When you're walking down, people walk into St. Anne Home and they say it's different here. And there's a few things that make it different. It's that feeling you get when you're in the house. First of all, it's a beautiful place. Christ is present every day through prayer, through our Mass, through the people. It's everybody you meet will exemplify Christ within them. And we all have a name tag on. And our name tag, and I think this is a kind of maybe a little tip for businesses too, if you have name tags. You can walk down the hall and you can see my name, Mary Dreliszak, from 10 feet away.
Just for the listeners, she has her name tag on right now.
That's right. I forgot to take it off before I came. But it's nice and big, not too big. I'm not wearing a sign or anything, but it's just big enough. And what that means is that when we're walking down the hall, you will see employees saying, "Hi, Joan. Hi, Samantha. Hi, Amy." Even when I was brand new, and that was one way to meet people too, was to be able to acknowledge them. We acknowledge who we see, and that's just par for the course. When you walk down the hall, St. Anne Home, we acknowledge each other, but also the residents too. Will not walk down the hall without passing residents and acknowledging that resident, and even engaging with that resident. Acknowledging each other's presence, part of the dignity of the human person that we honor every day. And I think that you feel that when you're there, that compassionate care. I think that that's one of the things that the employees have there, is that they absolutely truly care about that resident. No matter when you see them, where you see them, in what way you see them interacting, they're doing so with love and compassion.
Yeah, right. I mean, that mission, the mission and the categories that you focus on, and the names. I mean, that is so important, and I think that your residents would love that.
Yes.
I think that they would love that.
We have residents. There's one resident I'm thinking of, Eleanor. She's actually been a resident there for 13 years. And one of the things that they say, it's actually become part of our marketing messages, because we hear it so much. They say it's home. This is home. Just the other day, there was a resident who had passed away, and I was told that she had gone to the hospital, and they knew that there wouldn't be a lot of time left. And they asked her if she wanted to go home. And she said, "Yes, I want to go back to St. Anne's. I want to go back home."
That was her home.
It was her home. Right. We have another resident on Villa Angela. Her name is Kathleen. And in her situation, she walked into St. Anne Home with her family members, doing tours of different facilities. And as soon as she walked in, she said, "It feels like home." There was a day when I was walking through the lobby, and there was someone there waiting for an interview. And I stopped to say hi to her and talk to her. And I said, "It's a wonderful place. It's such a special place." And she said, "As soon as I walked in, it just felt like home." So we hear it all the time from every avenue, from everyone who walks in. And I welcome everybody to come and just see what that means, that it feels like home.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the best ways to wrap it up. You are a resident, and that is your home. Mary Dreliszak, she is the Director of Development and Marketing for St. Anne Home. St. Anne Home is the sponsor of Westmoreland Community Connections, and thank you very much. If you want to get online on their website, St. Anne Home, STANNEHOME.org, or call them at 724-837-6070. Mary, is there anything else that you want to make sure that the listeners understand about St. Anne Home?
Absolutely. One thing I'd like to end with is inviting you to come and not only visit St. Anne Home, but check us out on social media as well. We have a Facebook page, St. Anne Home, ST.ANNE Home, for our Facebook. We also have a YouTube page. Please, check out our videos that we have there, and we also have videos that are embedded into our website, so you can see and hear not only from the residents, but from their family members too, and what makes St. Anne Home so special and important to them.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mary, for being on the show. You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of St. Anne Home.